to another of our interview specials, where we talk to different professionals from different sectors about the ways in which they're using video to help handle some of the disruption caused by the coronavirus. This week, we're talking about a sector that has taken an incredible hit from the crisis: events. So to bring us up to speed with what the events industry has had to do to change, we're talking to events organiser Jamie Chapple. Jamie has over 12 years' experience in running events for dozens of household names such as Twitter, ASOS and Sky. So Jamie, how are you doing?
Hi, yeah, good, thanks, Chris. I'm not too bad in these walls.
Good. Yeah, you're not going too crazy from the lockdown so far.
No. Trying to keep as busy and active as outdoorsy as possible.
Good. So let me just launch in. Can you tell me a little bit about how the events industry has kind of handled the coronavirus crisis? How are things?
So I feel, the industry has definitely been put on a massive halt at the minute. Things have hopefully most of my work has been postponed, which is good for next year. But I think for the rest of 2020, it's a little uncertain at the minute. We're sort of waiting for those first sort of adventurous, courageous steps from clients to hand out briefs to see how we could really respond in a different way.
Yeah, what sort of brief have you received then? You know, I've always had it in my head that there are no briefs out there for events at the moment. But if one's come out, how has it changed?
Well, we were very fortunate to get a brief through for Amazon, obviously, who were still doing marvelously well, especially in particular for Amazon Prime. So obviously entertainment, live home streaming.
Of course,
doing great. So we submitted a proposal for an October event, fingers crossed, and we also submitted a whole fully fleshed out proposal for a Plan B experience, hitting the same numbers, probably wider numbers actually, as a whole sort of digital event, which was an experience, as it were, but it kind of still hit the elements that they wanted to get out of it.
So that I understand that fully then, you've got the plan is that you'd go ahead with a live event as normal in October as a route A, you know, the preferred option. But route B sounds like a remote event. Can you expand on that?
Yeah. So essentially there was launch of a new show. So there was a screening of 3 short episodes, meeting the talent. There was a whole talent involvement, Q&A sessions with the directors and the cast, and it was mainly to get to get outreach of the new show from also not just the concentrated fan base from it, but from wider, obviously a massive press angle. So we felt we could still do a lot of those, hit a lot of those objectives by doing a remote digital response. So we were talking about a whole invitation platform builds that people would log in. Perhaps they would receive something via post or wherever they might be, that kind of leads into that login, and that's a kind of physical invitation that they would receive at their desks. And then they logged into a live stream, and we would read something quite theatrical, like we would build a set that was relevant to the show. There's obviously a lot of things we could do with video and graphics to really complement all of that, and a lot would come across in kind of theatrical set builds, but we could really think a bit broader in terms of not your traditional stage presented screen where you've got to have a clear view of the screen. We could really do something really clever with how video and graphics and animation and those things are integrated into the live event. But you can still get across the screening of the episodes, the talent appearances and Q&A at all social distances.
Yeah.
And apart from the after party and cocktails afterwards, you were sort of getting the main objectives and could probably hit wider numbers.
So it put the idea in my head that maybe you could click a link and then, you know, a video would play that would lead you through some sort of installation or whatever. Is that right?
Exactly that kind of thing. You know, it could either be like a kind of set of one room, which this would have been quite specific to the show that it was about, or, you know, do you build some sort of 3D rendered world that can get us through it?
That's such a good idea that it makes me wonder whether or not you'd expect longer term changes to the way that events are run in the future, even if the coronavirus were to disappear tomorrow.
Yeah, I really do. I think, you know, I mean, going back, what's to say you couldn't build a whole 3D exhibition that you would have had at the Excel Centre, for example, as a whole remote access thing, and you can go through your own exhibition stand and still have an experience like that. I think for now, the international events are probably going to be the last thing that we come to.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, we're looking at, in our head, sort of gone maybe the large numbers on one night only, and maybe it's about hitting smaller groups or targeted groups across a longer period of time. So maybe smaller venues with less capacity taken for a longer period, and you can then really target smaller groups to hit, your social distancing and your capacity limitations. So maybe it's like press on one night, or influencers, or general clients, or more hospitality based.
In our experience working with you, Jamie, we've done a lot of videos for the event in advance, and then also there's a lot of shooting videos at the event, from the event, to sort of promote the experience. Do you think that sort of that side of things would change?
Yeah, I think we would probably become more reliant than ever of capture of the experience, and in much more detail than rather than just the sort of 2-minute sizzle reel. What a great memory this was. I think it might be a real way of, if you can't get those huge numbers together at one point, or you don't have the budgets to do it across a few days, like longer days, I think time and resource invested into a camera, a full capture of that live experience through video, working with directors, working with the creatives on the kind of objectives and how to capture it, I think is going to be much more priority.
You can really imagine that you would end up, rather than just having a camera crew roaming around an event, filming people, cheersing their glasses and laughing, you would much more script it out and plan every element of that experience, because like you say, it's a deliverable in its own right.
Yeah, to make it really, get a sense of exactly what you're trying to achieve, how the objectives were met, and what the live experience was. And I think that will come much more to the forefront of how we use videos and footage capture for the future.
Amazing. Thank you, Jamie. I think that's a pretty exciting place to leave things. So thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you for talking to me about it. And here's hoping that we can all get together in some sort of physical experience, live experience soon.
Absolutely. Thanks again. And thank you very much for watching. As ever, please leave your comments in the section below, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.